Hi, you are tuned into the Raging Aggron channel, and I'm your host, Djingis, and I'm here with my own draft recap of my team in the PSL Season 3. And I know that this is a bit late. It was meant to go up on Monday, but I had no time at all between Friday and today to record and upload this. So it is what it is. There's not a lot I can do about it, sadly, but I will do it now at least, so it will be done before the games, so that's good at least. Week 1 is underway as I'm doing this, as I'm recording this, and I faced Baron week 1. So, and if you look down here, you can actually see that I have another folder called PSL. The reason we're not in there is because then you can see my team for Baron. So that's why I'm still using the PSL Draft Recap folder for this. And I made this a bit easier for you all to see my teams as well, because it's only one team this time around, so I rather have it in 2 different teams of 6. But first overall, it was great to actually get this going again, to get PSL Season 3 on the run, to make the draft and be part of it and all of that. It's really nice to see that everyone is still on board and that everyone still wants to do this. I got a bit of a cold, so if my voice sounds muffled or if I have to sneeze or anything like that, you have to excuse me. It's not a lot I can do about it. It's that way when you're sick, and it sucks. It's better now than it was the last 2 days, but it's not good still, and I had to go to uni as well with the half sickness, so yeah, it is what it is. But during the draft, I had 4 different draft plans in mind, and I managed to get one of them, and I didn't think I was able to get it, because it actually depends on you getting a very high pick to draft, because the first command that you need is a very highly seeked tier 1. And I managed to get second in the randomizer, in the randomized order, and I'm really glad for that. And it just makes this so much easier, especially for me. So without any further things to do, let's go right in here, and you will see that my first Pokemon, well, place a guesses. Unless you already seen the team, of course, then you don't really have to place any guesses, because you know it's Tapu Koko first. I managed to get Tapu Koko, and we will name Tapu Koko Amon Amarth. Amon Amarth. Which isn't... It's the closest thing I could come to calling it Thor. Amon Amarth is an mythical weapon used by Odin, and the band that took over it plays Viking metal, and one of the biggest songs is about Thor, the thunder god. And therefore we have Tapu Koko, the Tapu Koko called Amon Amarth. Tapu Koko is a great special attacker thanks to the electric surge. It can really abuse the discharge and thunderbolts and thunders. It's very fast, base 130 speed, which gives me a very good start off. It also has, as we all know, Nature's Madness, which can help me a lot versus the bulkier mons that I have to face. I can run a number of different items depending on what I want to do with the team. Also gives me a defogger as well, which is kind of nice to have. Even if it's not the best defogger, it still works very well in those circumstances. This is my Super C user, if I remember correctly, so I can use any form of C crystal except for Omni boosting on this Tapu Koko, and that would be really nice. Tapunium C is also allowed, so don't worry. It's just a nice Pokemon to have overall. My ability to run both physically offensive and specially offensive is very good. It's very good. You can also run an Assault Vest set to manage to try and take some hits at least. But yeah, it's a very nice Pokemon to start off with, and you can really build easily around Tapu Koko. But the team I had in mind was really specific, and I managed to get it, most of it at least. I only got one hard snipe, and the rest were more snipes that I really was fine with because it was more backup mons than anything else. But I got sniped a lot due to me having a lot of backup mons as usual. But this time it was only the backup mons that got sniped from me and not everything, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice. But first we have Tapu Koko, and we all know what Tapu Koko does. Next up, now I had the number 2 picks. I had to wait what will it be, 20 picks, something like that, for my next pick. And I was really scared because during midway through the second round, or they already got the round 1 was complete, so in the middle of the second round, Tornadus Therian was still there, and I really wanted to get Tornadus Therian. The problem is that that's a tier 1. But then it got sniped from me, and then I was like, okay, I still want Tornadus, regular Tornadus, but that can probably wait because it's not that sought after. So I'm just gonna go with something that I couldn't believe still made it to me, which is a Pokemon that should go in the first round every single time. And I want you all to please welcome back Megadeth, our Mega Lopunny. And I'm really happy to have this thing back. It's really nice. It's a great Pokemon, one of my favorites, Megas. Last time I used it in ABL Season 2, I think it was. I got 15 kills in 4 weeks, or 16 kills in 4 weeks, something like that. It was insane. And I love Mega Lopunny. It's a perfect Mega to have in Draft League. It does so much damage. And pair it up with Tapu Koko, and you have a fantastic speedy offensive core that you can do so much damage with. And it's not a lot of mons or teams that can take care of both Tapu Koko and Mega Lopunny defensively. So I really have a good, versatile offensive core in the beginning that can really break through a lot of teams. We all know what Mega Lopunny does. It gets scrappy, so it just hits high jump kicks, maybe set up a sub with power up punch, return, fake out, might run ice punch every now and then, or fire punch every now and then, depending on what mons you face. But that's about it. So now I just have to wait for it getting to my turn again. I'm not going to talk too much more about Mega Lopunny because we all know what it does more or less. It's just a great Pokemon to have. And I was a bit unsure of my next pick because I had 4-5 mons in mind, and neither of them are mons that should be taken in the first 3 rounds or should be taken in the first 3 rounds. So either they would stay there for a couple of more turns, or it would get drafted right after I draft them. And I was really scared about that, because at this point in time a lot of teams didn't have a dedicated tier 1, or still had a good number of reasons to draft another tier 1. And I had another tier 1 in mind, but I also had a tier 2 in mind that I knew couldn't wait, because it's one of the most sought after tier 2s in a draft league format, especially in our league. And I'm so glad that I managed to get this thing and soak in all the light. Necrozma is our 3rd pick, and we're gonna name it X-Deo. And I'm so happy with this. It's a very bulky all-around, very great Pokemon. Prism Armor acts like filter, if you don't know that. Has a number of different sets it can run, but its primary role on this team will be a bulky Pokemon to have Stealth Rocks and have some viability in the defensive area. It can also run a weakness policy set with some oh god, it sneezes some sway. But you can also run a weakness policy set with some speed setup. You have a number, I think you have Cold Mind as well. You have Photon Guy, so that it can do a lot of things. You have a Totemizer, that's the one I thought of. Just a great defensive and offensive combination on this thing that actually helps me out a lot. It can be a screen setter as well, and I always love to have a screen setter. I haven't used Necrozma at all before this, so this will be my first time using Necrozma, and I am a bit scared of using it because I don't really know how it will fit in very well. But I have a feeling that this can be a very good pivot defensive mon, more or less, and that it can help take the hits that Megadeth and a Monomorph should deal out well, towards me if I didn't have them. So that's the kind of thought here, that I will take out one of the bulkiest Pokemons that can deal with both Megadeth and a Monomorph, and that is Necrozma, in my opinion. Then I had to wait to the end of turn 4 now. So it's another 20 picks, and I sat there and pick after pick, mon after mon get drafted, and I couldn't believe that some mons still didn't get drafted. And you will see those 2 months later on in this draft, because it's insane. I have no clue why they didn't get drafted. But before that, it come back to me, and I decided, okay, I can't let this Pokemon sit any longer. I need to draft Tornadus right away. So I drafted a regular Tornadus, not Tornadus Therian, stupid game, Tornadus. Yeah, that's the one. And name it Stratovarius. Oh great, come on. Stratovarius, great. Prank stability is really good for me in this type of match. Well, in this time of team as well, because it gives me Prankster defog, it gives me Prankster agility if I want to be really fast. Yeah, you have Prankster bulk up as well to make me take better hits. You have a number of other things that you can really do well with this Prankster ability. So you have Substitute, you have Tailwind, Taunt, Toxic, and then you have the normal things down here that you normally wouldn't see, but can be very good to have. Things like Embargo, things like, where is it, Rain Dance, if I want to set that up, I can actually do it, and that would help a lot with both Monomorph and Tornadus, thanks to Hurricane spam in this thing, and Electric Train, Thunder on the Monomorph. And I have some other things as well, so I just felt that this could be a very good support mon to have, and it can actually be a very offensive mon that pairs well with Tapu Koko, and that is a very big threat to Megadeth in a normal game. So I just wanted to get that off the board and to be able to use it for myself. I have never used Tornadus or Tornadus Therian before in a draft league, so I really look forward to that. The only genie I've actually used for whole, well, not even for whole season, the only genie that I have used at all for a good amount of time in a draft league is Thundurus. Regular, no, Thundurus Therian, yeah, Thundurus Therian is the only gene that I have used before. So I really look forward to use Tornadus here and make it work. And then it was my turn again pretty soon after. I'm just gonna go through this pretty quick because I have not have too much time to talk as much as I would like to, not to talk too much in depth, not as I used to at least. But having these for 4 months here, it's a very good offensive core. Tornadus isn't as bulky as Therian form, so I have to patch that up in some way, and I couldn't believe that my dear Slipknot, Ferrothorn, was still here. Because Ferrothorn, or Slipknot as we would call him, is a Pokemon that should always get drafted within the first 3 rounds in my opinion. It should never fall this deep into the draft. And if it does, and Megadeth is drafted, it's something wrong. I mean, sure, Megadeth is super effective on Ferrothorn, but Iron Barb's Rocky Helmet, and then you protect on her Jump Kick or whatever. I mean, Ferrothorn is just a bulky Pokemon that can easily take care of Megadeth, and it also fits my type of team build in this scenario very well, because it gives me the Gyro Ball that take care of fast fairies, it gives me another Stealth Rocker, it gives me Leech Seed, it gives me a very good supportive defensive mon. And Ferrothorn is just hard to deal with unless you have quad effective moves like Fire in this scenario for Ferrothorn on your team, and not a lot of teams can afford to run Fire moves versus me, in my opinion. Unless you have a stab, hard hitting Fire type, Fire moves won't do too much to my team. At least in my opinion. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, this is my 5th pick here. And drafting Stratovarius and Ferrothorn back to back, I could have waited a bit on Ferrothorn, I guess, but I actually really wanted to have it on the team. And these 5 mons is something that will be very good core, both offensively and defensively. Ferrothorn and Necrozma has a very good, in my opinion, synergy. And can actually be usable together very well, because Exterior doesn't really care about fire types, unless it's choice banned entry or something like that, which could be a bit of a problem with that defensive core, but I can patch that up pretty easy later on. So just a strong offensive fire type is very hard for my team to deal with. As of right now, I also have some problem with ship damage, like Stealth Rocks, Spikes, Toxic, Will-O-Wisp, that type of Problem Ferrothorn gives me an immunity versus Toxic at least, and I do have Heal Bell on Megadeth. I'm pretty sure at least. I do have Heal Bell. Yeah, Heal Bell, and we also have Facade in the Sphinx. It doesn't really matter too much in that regard. So I have some variability to do here. It's just a good Pokemon to have on your team, and it's a Pokemon that hardly fails you in a Draft League format. And to be able to have Necrozma, Sleep, and Ferrothorn as a defensive bulky core is very good in my opinion. Then I had to wait another 20 picks, and I noticed there wasn't a lot of teams that could afford to draft another Tier 1, so my next Tier 1 was actually pretty safe. But then I noticed that some teams didn't have a dragon, and those teams could still afford a Tier 1. And I was really scared about someone getting this dragon. So I waited, and no one drafted it, and I was gonna draft Zygarde. But then I remembered, why do I need Zygarde on this team? There must be something better, and thanks to SV, he actually talked me out of drafting Zygarde 50%. I really want Zygarde at 50% because I've never used it. It's bulky, it gives me another Stealth Rocker, it gives me priority in E-Speed, gives me Dragon Dance, and blah 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 blah. But it actually talked me out of doing it, and I'm really glad because that would given me an Ice weakness together with Stratovarius. So, and Slipknot isn't the best ice resistance, since it's ice resistant. It's not even resistant to ice, Djingis. What are you talking about? But yeah, he saw that I needed some other dragon type, and then we noticed that Kyurem Black was still around. So my next pick is Kyurem Black, Icebreaker. And I have no clue if that's correct. You will have to let me know in the comment section, Lords, because I have no clue if that's Icebreaker, I don't know. It's a German band. More than that, I don't know about them. But Kyurem Black is a hard-hitting, bulky Pokemon. You can do so much with this thing, and you have a lot of usability with it. To have Amon Amarth, Megadeth, and Icebreaker on the same team, that's very, very dangerous offensively. And also having the possibility with Hurricane Spam in Stratovarius and having that supportive aspect of it as well. It's a very fast team right now, and Kyurem Black hits hard as well. I'm just very glad with this. It's not a lot of teams that can take care of Kyurem Black, Megadeth, and Amon Amarth, and then also have the other monsters in my team that can hit very, very hard, and that's really annoying for them to deal with. So yeah, it's just a nice Pokemon to have, and I actually feel like this is a very good Fairy Steel Dragon core with Tapu Koko, Kyurem Black, and Ferrothorn. So I'm glad with that. I'm really, really glad with that. I still have to complete my Grass Water Fire core, but I will do that later on. But I just feel like Kyurem Black, we all know what it does. It switches in, hits something extremely hard, switches out, and the biggest problem for me now is that I need to be sure that Stealth Rocks are off the field. And that would be a bit of a problem for my team, since I only really have one good defogger in Tornadus, and that's weak to it. Amon Amarth doesn't really want to run defog. It would prefer to be only offensive things, so I'm fine with having this little defog support, but it's actually pretty useful to have more, and I will try and pick up some more later on. But right now, this is what will be my offensive core for most of the time. Amon Amarth, Megalopony, and Kyurem Black is my offensive core. Then I have the support in Necrozma and Tornadus, and then I have the defensive bulk, pure bulk in Ferrothorn. But I noticed that for a team that has Megalopony, not a lot of teams actually went out for counters towards it, and I feel like that might have been a mistake, because Megalopony is one of those mons. If it hits really hard, you can't do a lot to it. If you have a problem with fighting in normal types, especially with that powerful type of things, and you also have a problem dealing with Tapu Koko and Kyurem Black, you should maybe have gotten for a Megalopony counter. And I noticed some teams that actually was very weak to Megalopony and that didn't have a ghost, and especially not this ghost, and I decided with my next pick to pick up Cofagrigus. Cofagrigus will be called Ghost BC as normal. Ghost BC with the Mummy ability completely negates Megalopony. It can only take one attack, but after the Mummy ability, Megalopony can't hit Cofagrigus, and Cofagrigus can just pain split up and get its health back. Perfect. Why did I draft Cofagrigus? So no one else can have Cofagrigus and use it against Megalopony. Simple. I've used Cofagrigus before. It's a great Pokemon to have. Gives me access to Toxic Spikes, gives me access to Will-O-Wisp and Pain Split, Hex. I mean, it's just a good bulky Pokemon to have. Can be offensive as well, so it gives me Trick Room opportunity if I want to do that. Even if my team is very fast, I can still use it if I want to. So it's just a good Pokemon overall. It's maybe not the best defensive Ghost type out there, but it's a Ghost type that actually fills a specific role on my team. And between Ferrothorn and Cofagrigus, I would say two of the best Megalopony switch-ins are gone. I know that, I mean, sure, Ferrothorn can't take a high jump kick, but if it protects up, it should be able to take high jump kick plus another move. Cofagrigus completely negates Megalopony, so it's just a very good, decent core to have don't have to worry about when you build with Megalopony. I will face other problems, I'm certain of it, but just having Cofagrigus and Ferrothorn in this team makes me a bit safer when it comes to problems that Megalopony can face, really. So Cofagrigus will just be a bulky Ghost for me. I don't know, I might have to drop it later on for better Ghost type, because I feel like my team is a bit weak to that, or just drop it for Dark type. Because I just know that I'm pretty sure I don't have a single Dark type on this team, and I'm a bit Ghost weak as of right now in my opinion, and I don't really patch that up. So I don't know how long Cofagrigus will stay here. I hope it will stay here for the whole season, but it actually depends on how I feel like Ghost and Dark affects me defensively when I have to prep. But Cofagrigus, it's just there to take hits, and we all know what it does best, so it's not a lot to talk about. And then I decided to do something that, according to me, fits this team very well, despite... Well, it fits this team extremely well, but only one Pokemon... Wow, come on! Formulate the correct thing here, Djingis. Just formulate the correct thing. So with my next pick, I decided to draft a Pokemon that supports my whole team, barring one Pokemon. That's what I was supposed to say. I did not say that, and support my whole team might be a bit of a stretch, but it supports the bulk of it, the big portion of it. So what is scarier than having a Tapu Koko, Megalopony, and Kyurem Black Core? Having Tapu Koko in rain with Tornadus in the possible rain. So I drafted Pelipper. And Pelipper has Drizzle, and it will always be Drizzle if I bring it, because that gives me something very, very good to have, and Pelipper will be called Kane's Offering. And I'm really glad with this. Pelipper is a very bulky, very good water flying type, and thanks to the Drizzle it actually has a very good switching up viability if you run it very defensively. It actually fits very well with Tapu Koko, allowing me to run Choice Specs Thunder in electric terrain. I don't think anything can take that in very well except for Chansey or Blissey. What gives me opportunity to 100% accurate Hurricane spam with Tornadus. That takes away the problem with HP Fires for Ferrothorn, and it just overall brings down the fire weakness that I thought I had. So it's more of the thing that, okay, now I can run a rain team if I want to, and I have the opportunity to run a very good defensive water type for offensive fire types, at least in my opinion. I have to look out for electric type coverage in this thing, of course, especially in electric terrain. But I should be able to patch that up, or I already had, because in my opinion, the Crossman Ferrothorn should take all and every single electric type moves out there, so I'm fine in that regard. But as of right now, this gives me another defog as well, of course. But as of right now, I was a bit concerned, because if you go back and look at the rest of my team, I have a Stealth Rocker in a Crossman, Stealth Rocker in Ferrothorn. I wanted another Stealth Rocker, and I wanted a ground type that pairs well with the electric weakness that I tried to build up here. And I noticed that I don't have a good amount of grass weaknesses, so I can draft a Quad Weak water type, Quad Weak ground water type, and I can draft something that pairs very well with rain. So I decided to go with the Toad, with Seismitoad. And this will be called Mudvayne. Mudvayne. Oh, come on. Mudvayne. So good. I hate that it autofills the names. Seismitoad is a very bulky, very hard Pokemon to deal with on the defensive side, and if you compare it up with some very good offensive or support defensive mons, it can actually be very, very decent versus most teams. It gives me a Swift Swim user, which means that I can outspeed a lot of Scarfers. And it also gives me the opportunity to run offensive Seismitoad and have an offensive ground type, offensive water type, which can wreck most teams. And it just hits very, very hard, especially if it's Choice Banded or Life Form or something like that. It's a very good Pokemon to have on your team, and it gives me a quad resistance to fire types, which I lacked previously. I don't even need to have it in rain for it to take very little from fire type mons. And I have the opportunity, and I have mons that quad resist grass type in Ferrothorn's ID at least, so I'm not that weak to grass types in my opinion. I can work that pretty well. But I decided to pick up another Pokemon in the next pick that actually negates the grass type weakness even more for Seismitoad. So I have a lot of opportunity here. I can see the problem with having Seismitoad as my Swift Swimmer, and there are better Swift Swimmers out there in my opinion, but I already had a Dragon. Well, there aren't any better... this is what I'm going to say. There aren't any better Swift Swimmers out there in my opinion for what tier it is in, for its stab moves, and for what it can do. Sure, Kingdra is a great Swift Swimmer, but it is tier 3, and it can most of the time only be offensive. Seismitoad can be defensive, it can be a Stealth Rock, it can be a Phaser, not a Phaser. It can be Status Absorber in some regards, it can be physically or specially offensive. It has access to Poison Touch and Water Absorb, giving me an immunity and the ability to poison something on a switch. So I have a lot of usability and versatility with Seismitoad, and that's what I value tons more over pure offense. So the reason I have Seismitoad as my Swift Swimmer is because that's the most valuable Pokemon for its tier and for its abilities and for what it can do for me. And not a lot of teams, not a lot of mons either can take care of an offensive Seismitoad, and unless you have unless you have HP Grass or a Grass move in general, Seismitoad can actually come in on pretty much every single move, which is perfect to have. So Seismitoad is here to do a lot of things. I have a lot of different ideas on how to run Seismitoad, and I will probably use it pretty iffy throughout the season. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to using Seismitoad. I have never done it before, and it feels like a lot of fun. So yeah, that's why I picked Seismitoad really. And well, of the ones that I drafted so far, I know that Rain fits a lot of them, but one mon that it doesn't fit at all is the Crossman, because it has the weather-dependent Moonlight as its recovery method. So I have to be very careful with bringing in the Crossman and Pelipper. It is what it is. I can work around it, I'm pretty sure. But it just sucks, really. Next up, I decided to... Okay, if I don't want to run Swift Swim Touts with his Scarfers, what can I do to negate his Scarfers so he can't outspeed Tapu Koko and Megaloopany? Well, grab Sticker Webs. Okay, I need to grab 3 tier 5s now because I have me drafting Chrome Black. And I need something that is quad weak to fighting, in my opinion. I have one immunity, I need something that is quad weak, so I have something that pairs well with Ferrothorn. I also need something that can set up webs, I need something that can take care of Toxic Spikes, because I don't have that as of yet, and that's pretty hard to get by. I also need another Pokemon that can set up Toxic Spikes, in my opinion. And I need something that, if I run it offensively, can take care of the Fairy types. I don't really have that, in my opinion. And I also need something that has some form of priority move. And all of those criteria are fitted into one Pokemon, that is Ariados. Ariados will be called Paramore, and this is probably what you will see me running most of the time. Toxic Spikes, Sticker Web, and then you have Sucker Punch, and then probably something like Leech Life or something, because Leech Life is actually good now. So that is probably what you will see most of the time if I run Ariados, if I bring it. It's not that good of a mon. It doesn't have the best stats, and it's very defensive. It's not very defensive, it's not very offensive. It doesn't have a good speed. So it's literally, you send it in to get up Toxic Spikes, layer Toxic Spikes, or get it up to set Stick Webs. Or hope that you can knock something out with a Banded, Sucker Punch, or something like that. It's just a good Pokemon in my opinion, for what the tier it is and for what it does for my team. It patches up some weaknesses and it helps me as a support mon very well, I feel. After this I decided, okay, I have the bulk of my team, but the two things that I lack that could be very good for me to have. And I looked at it and I decided, well, if I'm gonna run a Trick Room option, I really only have one mon that can support it very well. And that can be offensive under Trick Room, and that is Ferrothorn. Of course, Cofagrigus can be offensive in Trick Room, it's a pretty common set, but Cofagrigus or Ferrothorn doesn't really ring that much Trick Room. And I wanted something else that will be very, very scary on the Trick Room. I also wanted another Stealth Rocker, because I feel like you can never have too many of them, and right now I have, with this Pokemon, I have 4 Stealth Rockers and 2 Toxic Spikes, which is pretty darn good to have in my opinion. And I also have Stick Webs. I have a good amount. I also have Spikes, I just remembered, on Ferrothorn. So I actually have all the possible setup. Hazard setup that you need for drafting, which is really good. But I decided I want another Stealth Rock. I want something that hits hard and it's very hard to deal with if you don't believe it will come. And that Pokemon, ladies and gentlemen, are my very trusty Sabaton, the Sudowoodo. If I can spell Sudowoodo correctly, that is. Sabaton makes its way back from Season 2 to Season 3 of the PSL. And Rockhead, Choice Banded, Head Smash from base 100 attack is extremely good. It's very defensive as well, which allows me to run more especially defensive on some other mons. Gives me a water weakness, but I do have immunity in Mud Vein, so I'm fine in that regard. Also gives me an grass weakness, but Paramore is quad resist grass, Ferrothorn quad resist grass, and I have a fucking Cure Black that doesn't really care about grass type moves in my opinion. Might do if it is of very offensive grass type moves, but things like HP Grass or Giga Drain or something like that, it doesn't really care too much about. But Sabaton Sudowoodo in general is a very good tier 5 monster that can do a lot of damage. It should be drafted more often in my opinion. It's a sleepy mon and it can do very, very well in the right matchup, and it can be very hard to deal with. So that is why I drafted Sudowoodo. It gives me another Stealth Rocker. I'm pretty sure it at least gets Stealth Rockers. Yeah, it does. Thank God for that. But the main reason it is here is so I can get a Choice Banded, or so I can spam Choice Band Head Smash in Trick Room if I decide to set it up. That's the main reason I drafted it. Last but not least, I decided, okay, in Rain, I'm not that fire weak, but if I face something that has... If I face a team that has a very good offensive fire type, I need something that can soak fire type moves pretty well. I also need something that can be a sort of a special wall that is tier 5. And I don't think I drafted the right mon here. I really don't think I drafted the right mon. I'm a bit iffy about it, and I just feel like it's a very... It's just a bad mon in general, but I hope I can make it work, and if not, I'm gonna drop it pretty fast. I decided to draft one of my absolute favorite evolutions in Flareon, and Flareon will be called In Flames. It has Flash Fire, and it has Guts, which gives me Status Absorber and a Fire Immunity, which is very good for Ferrothorn. Doesn't work very well in Rain, but as I said, Pelipper is just an option for me. I don't have to bring... It's not a Rain team, it's a semi-Rain team. And that's what I was out for. I was out for something that can work very well under Rain, but doesn't rely on Rain to be very scary. And I feel like I succeeded in that regard. Flareon is a very good defensive, especially defensive Pokemon. Problem is that it is a fire type, and water is very often especially offensive. And then you have EQ and Stealth Rocks and all of that, so it's not, I mean, I'm not sold on the idea of having Flareon on the team. I just feel like it was, in the heat of the moment, no pun intended, it was the best Pokemon I could draft that fit what I wanted on the team. Together with Cofagrigus, Flareon is probably the mon I will drop if I have to drop something. Those are the 2 months that will get dropped for something else. So yeah, Flareon is literally just here to maybe scope 1 or 2 special offensive moves and then die. Like, I didn't really have a plan here. Gives me a Baton Passer, which is nice, I guess. Gives me another Heal Beller, which is decent. Gives me a pretty good offensive based fire type with very good special, like Flare Blitz from, what is it, base 130? Yeah, base 130 attack. Choice Pen and switch in on the Toxic or something, or Thunderwave, whatever gets activated, it will hit extremely hard. I'm pretty sure it has Facade as well. Yeah, it has Facade, so it can do a number of things here. It gives me a Will-O-Wisp user, which is very useful for me. But other than that, it's just here. It gives me the Phaser I was out for. And together with Substitute Roar can be very decent in some matchups, I guess. But that's about it. I can't see too much usability out of Flareon. It was just like, I needed something to fulfill my team. And I had a bit of a fire weakness if I don't bring rain, so I just said fuck it, draft fire immunity. Flareon is right there into 5, just go for it. My C users are, Super C is Tapu Koko, as I said in the beginning, and it is Chrome Black as the offensive C user. I'm happy with the team. I see 1 or 2 weaknesses that I need to patch up, but overall I feel like I'm good to go. With that said, I'm just going to leave it here. I have a number of different ideas going on in my head for what I can do with the team and how I can build with it in some matchups. So with that said, thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions or any problems, anything that you want me to explain any further, just put the questions down in the comment section. Also, I'm really looking forward to be part of PSL Season 3. I really hope that I can do good with this team. It might be a team that doesn't really fit me, but I just wanted to try something different. I don't really care if I doesn't go to playoffs or something like that. I just want to have fun right now. And with that said, once more, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time, and that will be our Week 1 battle versus Baron and the Cincinnati Ampharos.